Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Motive channel. We're here tonight for the GT3 League on the PlayStation 4 here on ACC for round 4 of 6 for season 11. You join us, it's almost midway through the race actually. We were attempting to give it a go racing, but probably for the best actually. We ended up spinning out. My nan walked in, asked me a really strange question, which just kind of spooked me for a minute, and I just completely lost my rhythm. I was in total bewilderment at this question that she asked me, and so I just completely lost the rhythm that I was in. I was in a great zone and I was getting quicker and I was doing 143s, and then all of a sudden she popped this question. I'm just like, what? Huh? And yeah, at that point I just completely, I looked at my replay of the incident. I'd lost the car going into the chicane, so probably the worst part of the track. It was like that really tricky left-right chicane in the middle section of the track, downhill into the dip, and pretty much yeah, just couldn't recover it. I just dropped it and it went round. So yeah, it was a bit strange, and I might have just let off some steam, might have had a bit of a rant there, but nonetheless the mic was muted, so you guys didn't hear that. But anyway, here we are. So welcome back everybody to the Motive channel. We're here tonight for the PS4 GT3 League. We've currently nearly halfway through. Tynus in the house leads the race ahead of Jazzman. These two have picked their way through the pack and they're now running 1 and 2. But the crucial thing for Tynus is that he's obviously now leading this race and he's going to score points over Jazzman as it stands. Now these two, we know they like to start from the back. They like to do things the hard way. They don't like to make it too easy for themselves. So once again, showing that they like to just make it a bit more of a challenge. They like to come through the pack. They have to make a few moves and show their overtaking prowess and their ability to race side by side with people. And fair play to them for that. But currently, Tynus has got a 3-second lead at the moment over Jazzman. So Tynus is looking in cruise control at the moment. These two are obviously ahead of Riga, who's occupying that final podium spot. Then you've got Appenlu, who's taken two podiums so far this season from the 3 rounds that we've had before. Obviously this one, the 4th round. He took a podium in the opening round of the season, and he also took one at Monza for round 2. Just racking my brain. Silverstone was the opening round of the season, so he took podiums at Silverstone and Monza, and obviously last week he had a bit of a nightmare at Barcelona, ended up retiring quite a long way before the end. But nonetheless, we are here with just under half of the race completed, and we're just coming up to almost the halfway point. We see 4 drivers have already come in to make their mandatory pit stop. Kyalami, Nilsson, Dimenta and Spuzz. Pete Bibb is just coming in now to make his pit stop, so that will be now 5 drivers having already come in to make their pit stop. Sorry, Kyalami hasn't been in. Didi has, Nilsson has, Dimenta has, and Spuzz has. So Kyalami hasn't. There's Pete Bibb there in the box. So he's currently doing his pit stop at the moment. Jazzman's closed the gap a little bit to Tynus at the front. The gap's now under 3 seconds, but he's not bringing it down by a massive amount at this stage. Tynus is just keeping him at a reasonable arm's length at the moment. More than that, he's certainly got control of this race at the moment. PS Fitz is running in P5, and he's got Archie all over the back of him as these two are battling out over 5th and 6th places. Half a second currently separating these boys at the moment. Pete Bibb's still in the pits. He's just off the limiter now, so he'll be coming down to the end of the pit lane. There's Nilsson. Nilsson's going to come out, and he's going to come out. Oh, it's going to be close actually between these two. I think Nilsson's just going to pip him though. Yes, he is. So Nilsson up into 10th place here in this race, with Pete Bibb slightly longer stop there. I don't know if Pete Bibb has done anything different in the pit stops, as we can see Appenlu and PS Fitz both in here at the end of lap 17 as well. Jazzman gained another 3/10 on Tynus on that lap, so Jazzman's continuing to just gradually just eat into that lead that Tynus has got. Tynus obviously made much more shorter work of the traffic that was in front of him as they were obviously coming through the first few laps. Both of these two starting from the back. Riga there running in third place. He's just best of the rest at the moment. He's not got the pace of the front two, but he's certainly a step above the rest of them at this point. Appenlo, I think, was somewhere in between Riga and Archie, but the gap between Riga and Archie is massive. It's nearly 30 seconds. So I don't know if... I think Riga did start up near the front, so he's obviously been passed by these two, Tynus and Jazzman, at some point, but he's not a million miles off of their pace, that's for sure. So Riga, yeah, definitely showing his credentials as the best of the rest of the moment. Yellow Army's into the pits, and so is Tynus, the race leader. Does Jazzman stay out? Yes, he does. So Tynus in the house. Your net race leader coming in. I wonder if he's going to opt for the same risky strategy that he's tried a couple of weeks already in this season. He's gone to try to not do a tyre change and do the whole race on one set of tyres. So whether or not he's going to do that here, we'll have to see. But he's in that pit box at the moment. Jazzman obviously now in some clean air, as you've got Riga parking up in that pit box just behind Tynus at the moment. Then you've also got Yellow Army in his pit box making his stop at the end of lap 18. Jazzman's still going at this point. Not really too many battles going on here at the moment. I think now's probably a good time to read you through the championship standings coming into this round, because it's very close for the for top honours in this championship. So I will read that to you now-ish, once I can get it out. But currently Riga Riga's come out actually quite close to Tynus after his pit stop, so I wonder whether Riga's put less fuel in the car maybe, but he's right on the back of Tynus, nearly jumped him there in the pit stops. I think they probably have both done the same in terms of tyres. What that is, I think they've both... Hold on. Yeah, I think they've both... Actually, it's difficult to tell. I was going to say I think they both changed tyres, but I don't know. Appenlo is quite a way behind them actually, so it's difficult to tell at the moment. We'll probably get some idea when Jazzman comes in. Let's watch Jazzman as he pulls into the box, see how long he sits in that pit box for. So into the box he comes, stops on his marker, and let's see what the pit crew can do here for the championship leader. Obviously former champion of this PS4 GT3 league, won the championship a couple of seasons ago. Last season only competed as a reserve because he couldn't make all of the races. So he was obviously a stand-in for last season. Still won a couple of races, but obviously didn't have the time, didn't have the commitment to be able to score too many points. Archie coming into the pits here as well, so he's making his stop. I wonder if Guitar Rich is going to pull the plug as well. No, Guitar Rich staying out for the time being then. So Guitar Rich will be the last driver to come in and make his stop. Jazzman is away, so Jazzman, a very quick stop there indeed. That was no more than 10 seconds in the box. I don't know if it was a splash and dash maybe, or whether he's full tanked it, but Jazzman is off. He's off and running, and he's come out. And where's Tynus? As Tynus jumped him here. Tynus has jumped at Jazzman, so he holds track position here. Obviously that's expected because Tynus was leading the race before. If anything though, I think Jazzman's a little bit closer to him than he was before. The gap was about nearly 3 seconds before. That looks like that could be down at maybe even less than 2 seconds. We'll see when they cross the next timing beam. But I think that could be less than 2 seconds there. It is just under 2 seconds, 1.9 separating Tynus and Jazzman. But now the question is, has Jazzman got the pace to hunt down Tynus? I'm going to bring you the championship standings. I did promise that I would get those read out on the stream. So your championship leader on 126 points is Jazzman, followed by Tynus, who sits in second, just 9 points behind him on 117 points. You've got Appenlo, who sits in third in the championship on 76 points, followed by Riga, who's on 58. Then you've got Guitar Rich, who sits in P5 in the standings at the moment, and Guitar Rich is currently leading the race but still yet to pit obviously, so we'll see where he filters out. But he's currently in a battle for, I guess you could say, P3 in the championship with Appenlu and Riga, but he's going to have his work cut out to beat those guys tonight, because they're going quite well at the moment. These two are battling it out over the podium spots. Well, I wouldn't say Appenlu's really in a fight with Riga at all, to be honest. He's miles behind him, but Riga's currently running in quite a solid podium spot at this point. Appenlu's obviously got that P3 in the championship at the moment, but Riga will be outscoring him and will be closing that gap as we speak. Guitarich is now into the pits. The race leader has stopped in his box, and that will now give the lead back to Tynus. So everyone's coming to the pits now to make their pit stop. Tynus still leads. He's just extended the gap to Jazzman by just a tenth on that lap, so not massive amount, but you know, he's just managed to eke it out ever so slightly there. So Tynus with the momentum at the moment, but then again, Jazzman only put those tyres on a lap ago, so you'd expect that he'd need a couple of laps just to get them warmed up, although his tyres will be fresher obviously than Tynus's. So over the course of the next few laps we might start to see Jazzman maybe just benefiting ever so slightly from that, who knows. But then again, there was only a couple of laps, 2 or 3 laps I think, between their pit stops, so the tyre advantage in terms of the speed that Jazzman's going to be getting over Tynus, not really much at all. Doesn't really make too much of a difference, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Archie's in the pits again, so I don't know what's happened to Archie, but he's stopping here at the end of lap 20, so I don't know what's gone on there with Archie, but he's not going anywhere fast at this point. PS Vids is on the back of Guitarich as these two are going at it for P5. They're only 4 seconds behind Appenlu as well, so Guitarich could be looking at Appenlu maybe a chance to close some points on the man currently third in the championship. Guitarich sat 5th in the championship, 1 point behind this man Riga, who's 4th in the standings. These two almost 20 points behind Appenlu, who's 3rd in the standings. So Riga will be gaining points, but if Guitarich can get ahead of Appenlu, he'll be closing his gap to P3 in the championship. So Guitarich, it will definitely be within his interests to close up onto Appenlu for P4, but right now he's going to be more worried about what's in his mirrors than what's ahead of him, because he's got PS Fit crawling all over the back of him at the moment as they're coming out of the last corner and they're about to complete lap 21 of this race. In the meantime, we're keeping half an eye on the gap at the front because it's 2 seconds separating Tynus and Jazzman. Here comes PS Fids though, as he is looking to the outside here into turn 1. Guitarich has got that covered off for the time being. Does Guitarich go deep? He does a little bit, but PS Fids didn't get a great run coming out of turn 1, and that just saved Guitarich's blushes a little bit there. But Guitarich just holding PS Fids at bay at the moment, just doing what he has to do, not panicking, not getting stressed out. He's just keeping him at arm's length right now, just about. PS Fids just a little bit too far back to send it. Both of these cars, the Lexus and the Aston, both very, very, very reasonable vehicles in a straight line. So you can generally expect that there's not going to be too much gain down the straights for PS Fids. Then again, the Lexus ain't great through the corners. I'd say probably the Lexus has probably got the legs on the Aston down the straights, but then through these twisty parts, I think the Aston's got slightly more grip. And it's not often you say that about the Aston, but the Lexus really is built for speed. It's not really built for manoeuvrability. So if there's one car that the Aston's definitely got the arrow over, it's definitely the Lexus. But right now Guitarich is doing what he has to do at the moment. These two are dropping off of Appenlu. Appenlu's pulled out the gap to 6 seconds now. To these two is PS Fids really out of shape there onto the grass as he went through the penultimate corner, gets it back on and doesn't seem to have lost too much time there. But that will have just hampered him ever so slightly as they now come down the start-finish straight here and into turn 1 for the 23rd time in this race. And these two have been having a good close little battle at the moment. It seems to be not really too much in favour of PS Vids. They seem quite evenly matched at the moment. I am definitely regretting not starting commentating from the beginning here, because actually, you know what, this is turning out to be quite an exciting race. You've got the gap at the fronts coming down between Tynus and Jazzman, although it is going up at points, it's ebbing and flowing a little bit. But you've got this battle going on between Guitar Rich and PS Fids. You know, it's quite an interesting narrative in this race, I've got to say. Just knowing that there's a battle for the lead as well, knowing that the battle for the race win is certainly not settled, does keep it a little bit more, keeps you a little bit more on edge. So yeah, it's an exciting race here. Apologies that we couldn't get started until nearly the halfway mark in the race, but to those of you watching this obviously a couple of days later, you won't know what I'm talking about. I'll be cutting out sort of like all the bibble babble and just cutting straight to the meat, so essentially you won't have to listen to any of my explanations or anything like that. But Guitar Rich goes a little bit deep there, gets it back on the track again. PS Fids is looking on him. He goes onto the grass a little bit there. PS Fids well out wide to the penultimate corner. He's really struggling through that part of the track. Did well though to get it back on the circuit, but that's just cost him a little bit of ground here to Guitar Rich. As JR saying, I love your explanations. To be honest, it must be entertaining in a way to hear them, but it's not really how I want to be running these streams. I kind of just miss the times when I could just rock up and commentate on a 20-car grid, but it just doesn't seem to ever be that way anymore, man. Like, you're my boy Blue. Do you know what? It's just annoying, man. Like, there are people who sign up to the championship, or it just seems like everybody has either got an injury or is suffering from some kind of illness, or has got broken technology like pedals or steering wheel or something. It just doesn't seem feasible that many people can have problems. It just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, end of the day, right? Real life is where you can be unkind to people, because you have something to gain in real life from being an arsehole at times. But this is sim racing. This is the virtual world. This is a virtual world that we're competing in here. We're just here to have fun and unwind. We all have stressful lives. We all have to work hard to earn what we've got, and you know, we come on here to let off some steam and enjoy ourselves and relax. And so, for me, I just don't understand why anyone would turn this into like a battlefield. It just makes no sense to me why anybody would want to turn this into a battlefield. You know, console sim racing is a tight-knit community. I don't understand why there's a need to butt heads. I really genuinely don't, unless it's personal, unless there's something personal going on. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. And even if it's personal, you know, time is the greatest healer. So I would imagine, you know, after a few months, or you know, a few weeks or months, obviously you just got to get over shit, you know what I mean? So I don't know. In the meantime though, Jazzman has closed the gap to Tynus. I don't know if Tynus has just kind of started to relax a little bit out the front, but Jazzman is right on him as they're coming out of the last corner. Guitar Rich has just got PS fitted a bit now, so we're going to keep an eye on this battle here for the lead. Also keeping an eye on Spuzz and Archie, because these two are quite close for 9th and 10th places. They're 2 laps down, which is not a position that either of these guys are used to being in. I don't know if they picked up damage in the early stages, but currently half a second separating these guys as they're coming down the start-finish straight, as Archie little look to the inside coming towards turn 1, but a little bit too far back at the moment. Spuzz, obviously last season's champion for this PS4 GT3 league this season, it's not gone the way that he would have wanted with his title defence at all, it's got to be said. But nonetheless, keeping at it here in his defence of P9 here with Archie. Let's jump back to the battle for the lead though, because Tynus is still holding on just about. Archie, OG of Sim Racing, indeed. Archie has been around since the Project Cars 2 days. So have we, to be honest, JR. We're getting quite old in terms of the sim racing scene now. Obviously, I'm far too old to still be on PlayStation. I've been in organised sim racing now for over 3 years. How mad is that? 3 years since we founded Robbins Racing, JR. How crazy is that to think? It's just been, you know, most people, after 3 years on PlayStation organising sim leagues, most people have moved to PC. But unfortunately, boy, he ain't got Ps, so, you know, it's a bit difficult. But nonetheless, here we are. To be honest, I'll probably stay on console for the rest of my life. I'm probably never going to move to PC. I'm never ever going to move to PC ever, I don't think. I think I'm just going to stay on PlayStation. Quite old in sim leagues? Nah, not in the slightest. I feel like we're going to get our bus passes. Well, JR, you're technically you're now one of the youthful recruits on the PC side of things, because you're fresh meat where you're at the moment. I'm just an old bastard. Yeah, well, I've been around this console sim racing scene for far too long. Grandad Steve say, you just keep it up, Andy, you're doing an excellent job. Thank you, mate, I appreciate that, I really do. Thank you very much. Very, very kind of you to say that. But Tynus in the house, still leading right now, guys. He's keeping Jazzman at bay by just 0.4 of a second. PS Fitz has also just reeled in Guitar Richard at a bit, half a second between those two. Grandad Steve's got his bus pass already. I know Grandad Steve's not at that point yet. He's called Grandad Steve, and you see the name Grandad, you think, what is he? Is he 60 or 70? He's nowhere near that. He's nowhere near 60. I think he's only just 50. So Grandad Steve's still a young man. Don't worry, he's still a young man. But upping my ranks as Sebi. Obviously, Sebi Gonzalez used to race with us. Also used to commentate with us in the early stages of Motive. We used to be the comms. Us two used to commentate on every single race for about the first 2 months that Motive was a thing. Great to see Seb in the chat as always. He runs his own league now, Bay Sports, which is not just a sim league, not just a sim racing league. They do sim racing, but they also do other stuff. League of Legends, I think, being their sort of their main sort of what's the word? I did know the word, now it's gone. Staple. Yeah. It used to be. I think it's League of Legends is their staple. He goes, motherfucker, I used to be your assistant. Yeah, you did. We were the head admins. We were the big two. We were like the Jekyll and Hyde of Motive Racing. No, we weren't like the Jekyll and Hyde of Motive Racing. We were like president and vice president. I don't know. JR, assistant. I never got one cup of. Hold on. I need to load up the YouTube app now to see the rest of that comment. He says, I never got one cup of tea. I didn't know we were your assistant, JR. I thought that we were all working together, to be honest. I don't really make very good cups of tea. People always say that I put too much milk in tea, because to me I think that tea, I don't really like the taste of tea that much. So if I'm in a setting where a cup of tea is an expected protocol, I'll just put loads of milk in it to try and make it a bit more tastier, because I find that when you add milk to something, even though I don't really like milk on its own, I find that if you add milk to anything, it kind of just makes it a bit tastier. Oh, there's Jazzman making a move. He's diving down the inside. Is he going to squeeze him out? Tynus holds it around the outside, and he just about keeps onto it there, does Tynus, but Jazzman was really putting it up him there for a moment. Tynus does well there to weather that storm. Jazzman was a bit late on the brakes, went deep into the corner, and Tynus was waiting on the exit just to sucker him out of the corner. And for the time being, Tynus still your race leader, but this is heating up now between these two, as Jazzman on slightly fresher tyres, only by a couple of laps, so it shouldn't be making too much of a difference. Tynus obviously needs to win this race if he is to close the gap in the championship and keep himself in this championship hunt, because Jazzman is leading this championship coming into tonight, and he's had the lead since the start of the season, has took every single win so far this season as Jazzman, but because of there's quite a slim points differential between the win and second place, and so as a result it's not really he's not massively ahead. I think it's only 7 points, but obviously the same will apply for Tynus if he wins. The points differential, I think, is about 2 points between first and second, so Tynus will will probably carve it down to 5 points, I imagine, or something like that. Or it could be 4 points, I think. Actually, it'd be 4 points, I believe. Let me just double check on SLP. I'll be able to give you some accurate information, which is something that I do find quite difficult, but I can do it. It's 9 points. So I think you outscore second by 3 points when you win races. Yeah, the points differential between first and second is 3 points. So, say for example, Tynus were to win tonight and then win the next 2 rounds. I mean, no, that would be quite something. But say for example that were to happen, they would be tied on points, and then it would go to count back. So then they both have the same number of wins. They both have the same number of second places. So that would get quite tricky. What would have to happen, I'm sure, what would have to happen if these two, say for example Tynus wins the next 2 races, wins tonight and wins next week, and they were to end up 3 points apart, they'd have to have a battle for pole. They'd have to have a battle for pole, unless of course they just decide to both start from the back again, at which point they would literally be tied on points, and then I wouldn't know what to do. Sim racing boxing match. That would be amazing. Do you know what? We should definitely imagine that. Imagine if we did what the YouTubers did and just did a load of sim racer boxing matches. That would be insane. I mean, it's never going to happen. Let's be real, because we're not famous enough. But it's a nice thought, isn't it? It's quite a entertaining proposition. But these guys having a great battle here out the front. Guitar Rich has actually been passed by PS Vids. So PS Vids got ahead of Guitar Rich. Sorry, PS Vids, I completely missed that one. I was neglecting you completely there as you got past him. But PS Vids up into P5. As Jazzman is still on the back of Tynus. He's looking around the outside here. Tynus just squeezing him out once again. The gap's not forming here for Jazzman. He's looking, he's probing, he's pushing, he's trying to work that space if he can. But Tynus has an answer to every little thing that Jazzman's trying to throw at him at the moment. As they're coming through towards the final sector of the lap right now. And Jazzman's now looking underneath him here. He's going to try and send one into the penultimate corner. But you're not going to make that happen. That curb on the inside will catch you out big time if you go over it. It pings you straight off into that gravel on the left hand side, and there's no coming back from it. There really isn't. Trust me. If you take that curb, it's see you later, and off you go. But the 2 leaders coming into turn 1 here for the 31st time in this race, and we're well and truly into the closing stages now. And I've got so much left in the tank still. I haven't even had a single hiccup yet. That's how much I've got left in the tank yet. I only started commentating just before the halfway mark because we had a few problems earlier on, so literally I've just been completely discarding this race for the first part, and then obviously jumped in, and Tynus had about a 3 second lead over Jazzman. Jazzman's clawed that down and is now right on the back of him, but these two really close here. Sevi saying I'm doing iRacing now. I've seen some of your streams. I've seen that Champ was doing some commentating. Good luck with the stream, boss. Cheers, man. Oh, you're going on iRacing right now, as in right now. Right, have a good one, man. Yeah, cheers, thank you. Cheers for stopping by. Have a good stream. Yeah, but have a good one, man. Good to see you. Tynus in the house, still leading the race. Jazzman is right on him now, though. 0.2 of a second between them. Tynus is going to have to defend the position here. Jazzman's going to have to go all the way around the outside, but Jazzman might be able to get the cut back because Tynus will have to take a tighter line. He had to go quite defensive there. Jazzman's now got a little bit of his number 14 alongside him. Tynus around the outside, keeping it there, keeping it pinned in. Jazzman can't work the space. Very tight, very close, but fair racing between these two, giving each other plenty of respect. The right amount of respect, in my opinion. They're not waving each other through. They're not leaving each other too much space. Just the right amount of space here. These guys know the business. They know how to race. They've been in sim racing for quite a number of years now. They've been on project cars too. They've raced against each other on ACC as well. They know how to drive. They know how to go up against each other. And right now, Tynus is putting in a defensive masterclass here to keep the championship leader behind him. As I said before, Tynus, if he wants to keep his chances realistically of winning this championship alive, he needs to take a win. He needs to take points off of Jazzman here tonight. Obviously, a 6-round season, so there's not much sort of there's not much room to really make up points, and so he needs to make this. He needs to make tonight count, and obviously the next couple of weeks he needs to also be taking points off of Jazzman in each of the next 2 races after tonight. But first of all, he needs to get over the line here tonight. He's not there yet. He's just got some traffic here just up ahead of them. You can see there, that's Yellow Army and Dimenta just up ahead. These guys are about to have I think it's not Dimenta, sorry, it's Yellow Army and somebody else just up ahead of them. That's Pete Bibb, I think, as Yellow Army's just now moving out off to the side. And fair play, well done Yellow Army, good driving there from you, mate. Absolutely textbook stuff there. Not having any of that, as Tynus and Jazzman still separated by not very much here, coming towards the end of lap 32 here. 5 minutes left on the clock, so we are going to have 3 more laps after this one. They're just coming over the line to start lap 33. 3 to go. Tynus has just got to park his car. He's just got to make sure that he's completely clean as anything, makes no mistakes over the next 5 minutes. It's not too long now to keep it on the grey stuff. Keeping an eye on the battle between PS Vidza and Guitar Rich. Guitar Rich has not let PS Vidza off the hook at all. He's still keeping him on his toes, but PS Vidza looks like he's just got it under control for now. Looks like he knows what he's doing there with that one. Tynus and Jazzman, half a second separating these two at this point. The traffic just up ahead of them here. So here come the 2 leaders. You can see Pete Bibb there in the foreground. He's about to have a lap put on him here. 4 minutes left in this race. Tynus in the house, standing on the verge of taking some points off of Jazzman. Jazzman leading the championship by 9 points. This Jazzman very wide there. Really out of shape there onto the gravel. Maybe pushing a little bit too hard. Knows he's got to get a sense of urgency on now. You can see Tynus potentially threatening to just slip away into the distance here. Knows he needs to really start getting his skates on as Pete Bibb moves off to the side. The 2 leaders come through. The gap just over a second now between Tynus and Jazzman. Jazz will be chatting some crap to Tynus in the voice chat, says JR. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I've checked some of their streams. I've seen some of their I've listened to some of their voice chats, and they do have plenty of bants in the chat, to be fair. Jazzman and Tynus do have some funny conversations. I mean, I can tell by what Jazzman's saying. Tynus is usually muted, but you can tell by what Jazzman's saying. It's quite some interesting conversations. But yeah, Tynus just holding firm at the moment. Jazzman might be doing everything he can to be putting Tynus off at this point, but Tynus is currently just holding his own. PS Vidza has now gapped Guitar Rich by just over a second, so he's now got, looks like he's got P5 under control, but that could change very quickly. We'll obviously have to keep our eyes on that one. But the 2 leaders coming through towards the end of the first sector, into the middle sector now, through this never-ending right-hander. I like a shorter version of Catalunya Turn 3, in my opinion. It's quite similar, but obviously it's about 100 and it's probably not even 180. It's probably, no, it's not even near that. It's probably about a 130 degree corner. Catalunya's probably about 100 and probably nearly 180. But yeah, currently Tynus and Jazzman still pretty close. But yeah, this corner's nowhere near as long as the Catalunya one. But similar kind of corner. A lot of pressure on the left rear. Probably tighter. The entry's tighter. The exits, you're carrying a lot more speed. But yeah, currently at the moment 7/10 of a second separating Tynus and Jazzman as we are about to start the final lap of the race. So this is it. This is for all the marbles here between these two. Jazzman will be trying his best to throw everything he can at Tynus in the house. Tynus in the house could be about to take his first win of the season. These two, they've got a bit of history here at Motive. They battled it out for the PS5 GT3 League in our first ever league on the PlayStation 5 platform. We obviously took our resources off of there because their spectator mode's not really up to scratch, or it wasn't at the time. Now the spectator mode's sorted, the servers are basically screwed. So we're just waiting on a patch for the PS5 version of ACC. We'll be back on that very soon, hopefully in the next few weeks, and we'll be starting up our championship, which we've had to delay numerous times because I'm not willing to start up a league on a version of the game that's completely broken. It's just not how I roll. But currently these two are once again showing that they're incredibly evenly matched in terms of pace and skill and overall drivability. Tynus in the house has weathered this storm and he's done it brilliantly. Jazzman generally I think has shown that he's on the whole, I think he's the pacier driver slightly. I think he's just about got the pace on Tynus, but what Tynus has got over Jazzman is consistency. He rarely makes mistakes, and he's able to sort of soak up the pressure very impressively. Tynus in the house rarely cracks under pressure, and right now we've seen that in all of its glory. Here he comes into the final corner. Jazzman little trying to look for a fade into the inside, but Tynus in the house is having absolutely none of it. Out of the last corner and up towards the line. Round 4 of season 11 on ACC for the PlayStation 4 GT3 League goes to Tynus in the house, doing a fantastic job there, keeping Jazzman at arm's reach. Jazzman over to take second place, but Tynus recording his first win of the season and cutting the gap in the championship down to 6 points between these two. Jazzman still leading the championship, but Tynus sending out a bit of a statement there. Jazzman's home race being upstaged by his good friend, championship rival and teammate there in the Bentley, as Riga's coming through the final few corners, and it's going to be a third place finish here for Riga. Archie's just going to come over the line behind him there, so Riga third place. Archie finishes the race in 9th. Pete Bibb's already crossed the line in 8th. Archie in his very fetching McLaren style livery there in that Bentley as he's finished the race there. We've got Appenloo just coming through the final corner now, and up towards the line he comes in the McLaren, so it's going to be 4th place here for Appenloo. So there he is, PS Fids coming out of the last corner, and it's going to be 5th place here for him, a couple of seconds ahead of Guitar Rich as they come over the line now. Guitar Rich P6. DDTKU is coming into the final corner, and it's going to be 7th place for him. Spuzz and Nielsen have both finished the race in 10th and 11th places respectively. Diamenta has finished in 12th place, and Didi's just come over to finish in P7. Yellow Army in 13th place has also crossed the line, so everybody's finished the race. That is that for tonight, everybody. Thanks for joining us once again, to all the drivers, to the viewers as well. Not too many of you joined us tonight as predicted, because we didn't start at the time that we were supposed to. We started about 8 o'clock, about half an hour late, so I do apologise for that, but thanks to everybody who tuned in. Hopefully you guys, the drivers, will be pleased to know we got some of the race on stream tonight. Please drop a like on the video if you enjoy. Also share this with your friends, family members and otherwise associates, and we will see you guys pretty soon. We'll be back for the PS4 GT3 League next week, same time as always, 7:30 next week. Hopefully we'll start on time. We should be no reason why not. Yeah, that's it. That's all there really is to say. If you want to join us for tomorrow night, we'll be on Project Cars 2 for the touring cars at 8:30 p.m. We're still on GMT, aren't we? Yeah, just about. Yeah, a couple of weeks away from changing to... No, we're still on BST. We're changing to GMT in a couple of weeks. I always think it's this time of year that we change the clocks, but we're not quite there yet. But yeah, we'll be 8:30 p.m. BST tomorrow night for the touring cars. We'll be live from... You know what, I've forgotten where we are. I've been practicing the track and I've forgotten. Silverstone Classic is the one. Yeah, Thruxton basically. So yeah, join us tomorrow night for the touring cars from Thruxton at 8:30 p.m. Also, wait, when are we next on after that? Oh yeah, F1 on Friday night as well, and then back for the Clio Cup on Monday, followed by the GT3s here on ACC next Wednesday. But yeah, thanks everybody once again, and I'm just going to go now. Cheers and bye bye.